Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is August the 10th, 2025. Hopefully, this also finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. We're having a Sunday. We're having a fun day today. So far, so good. We will actually, though, go ahead and just rewind the clock and we'll start back on Saturday and then we'll get into Sunday. We kind of just do a nice little flow. But Saturday night was fun. It was good. We went to Northside, surprise, surprise. And I got to see one of my friend's siblings. They came into town for the weekend, so it was nice to see them. I hadn't seen them in a really long while. And, because we're all so close, it really just felt like, one of my siblings was coming into town. So that was really cool. It was a fun vibe. It was almost like family night in a weird way, I guess. We hung out for a little bit before we went out. I had not seen like a big wrestling match from last week. So my friend, he ran it back for me. We got to see John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. It's pretty good. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. But then after that, we went out to Chameleon. Once again, surprise, surprise. We're keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up with the routine. But this time was nice because we all like kind of chipped in. Like most of us just kind of chipped in, and we almost like just shared a bunch of food potluck style. I don't know, but I got my usual 3 slices. We got the pepperoni. Then we got the veg. The veg had of course, a medley of things on it. I would say some standouts was the onions and the potatoes that they had on the pizza. I was like, okay, that's a hell of a slice. It was good. It also had some kind of puree of some kind. Maybe it was like a pesto thing or something. No peas. So I was like actually kind of happy about that. Not that I hate the peas. It's just, what are they doing there? But then we had the Bianca, and this was the standout slice that I almost didn't get. I read the first line of it, and I was just turned off. It said cream corn. Cream corn on a pizza? Hell no. I was no, big no. But then one of my friends, they weren't really trying to, but they just kind of sold it. They're like, well, wait, what's under that? You see that bacon? You see them onions? The hot honey? I was like, okay, wait, let me take that back. I recant my statement. I order the slice, and I tell you what, that might be the slice of the month. I know it's already early, in August. We're only in the 10th, but that slice was. I would definitely order another one of those. It was so good. The cream corn didn't have like that wet texture, mouthfeel that I was worried about potentially getting. It was completely just, cooked in well, baked in well. The bacon was nice, had a good crunch to it. The hot honey was not doing anything weird or crazy, which I like. Just overall an amazing slice. So yummy. Mwah. Then I had ordered some cheese sticks for the table. So, the homies had some. There was also fries for the table. So we all got to eat some of that. And then another homie had gotten the kimchi wings. And I hadn't had a wing from Chameleon in so long since all I eat is so much chicken. So it was nice to just have a little wing again. I was like, ooh, what a treat. So I was in heaven. I was a hog in heaven. I can't make a hog noise. There we go. But no, overall, that was a good way just to, kind of kick things off in terms of the hops. Then we go to, our next spot. That was chill. We're hanging out. We're vibing. Then we close out at our favorite dive bar. And it was slow. It was a bit of a slower night. But overall, I liked it. It was cool. Made the most of it. Tried to work on some yoga poses. Apparently, my downward dog needs a lot of work. I got to hit the lab on that, okay? So we're working. I'll keep you guys posted if I can get that, tilt that thing up, get my legs in position. I don't know. I'm doing some things wrong, but learned that last night. But overall, it was a really good time. I had a lot of fun hanging out with the friends. That takes us though. Oh, and then the post shenanigans meal. There were pizza rolls and dumplings all in the same bowl with some soy sauce on the side, and there was also some mustard on the side. So it was a vibe. It was good. It was I ate it up. But yeah, that leads us into Sunday. Sunday, I got up at a pretty good time, and I want to say it was around like 10ish or so. I think I get to the store around 11ish or so. And, we get that done. No problems, no complaints there. But this is the first day of my dog sitting expedition. I don't know what else to call it. But yeah, I'm dog sitting. I mentioned that earlier in the week. And for the first I go 2 times today. So I went for the first time earlier. It went well. It was great. The dogs are adorable. They're very chill. They don't get too excited. I feel like there's a couple of old souls or something, and they just need their little things. They need to get taken out, and then you can get their little food and water, and they're just chill. And I miss it. I miss being around pets. It's very cool to kind of be a pet uncle. I definitely would like to do that more often. I know my friends have some cats. I give them some scritches and stuff, but also I even feel it even now a bit where it's like my allergies will kick up. I get that little eye itch or, little cold like symptoms, from the pet dandruff. But overall, definitely worth it. Happy to help out a homie. And once again, the pets are really cool. And I'll keep you posted throughout the week. Hopefully nothing bad happens. Let's knock on wood. Hopefully everything just continues to go copacetic and nice and clean and easy. And hopefully I am a good dog sitter and plant sitter. Because that's right. The plants are coming up tomorrow. I'll let you know how that goes. Should be fine. But yeah. Post the dog sitting, I went to the gym, cranked out another heavy lift session. I will say a bit of a caveat, a bit of a problem that we had today. I was dumb and I just didn't want to like eat before. It's a nasty habit I can kind of get myself into. And I felt like after I'd gotten through my Smith machine sets, I got through my free weight sets, I was gassed. And I'm like, I still have to do, a good amount more, about like an hour 25 at least of work. And I was like, shit. Okay, well, we hunkered down, we got through, and everything was fine. Everything was irie. But definitely I was really pooped, really tired. Could probably use a nap, but we'll see how the rest of the day goes. But yeah. Overall, it's been a really banger day so far. It's been a really banger weekend, and I'm really, really glad that we were able to close this out on a nice, good note. So shout out to everyone who was involved in that. Hearts, 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 hearts. Anyway, let's see here. Let's go ahead and get into some news. I will say I don't have much, so this is a bit of an offbeat episode. No frills. We're just going to hang out, just kind of go through a couple of stories. Sadly, not fun stories, but, go ahead and just hit the rundown a bit. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup, and we'll go ahead and close, or not close it, get it started. Whew. Oh, I will say it's getting hot again, which is fair. I mean, it's still August. We gotta get through the dog days of summer. But man, today was it. Ooh, feel like it was hitting 100. But I mean, that might have just been on the humidity. But oh man, melty. All right. Our first story comes from Al Jazeera. Palestinian boy killed in Gaza. Gaza aid drop as starvation toll rises to 217. A 15-year-old Palestinian boy has been crushed to death by a falling pallet during an airdrop of humanitarian aid in Gaza, as global condemnation grows of Israel's plan to take over the largest city in the war-torn enclave where nearly 1 million people are sheltering. Footage from Gaza, verified by Al Jazeera, shows several people, gathering around the body of Muhannad Zakaria Eid on Saturday near the so-called Netzarim corridor in central Gaza following the airdrop. Some people tried to resuscitate the boy, whose face appears bloody. Other footage show the boy's brother carrying him away from the site and his father clutching his body at the Al-Awada hospital in Nusrat. Eid's brother told the Reuters news agency that the Palestinian boy was killed after an aid pallet fell on top of him. Despite the famine and hard conditions that we live in, my brother went to go get aid that was dropped into the sea by aeroplanes. A box fell on him directly and he was martyred, he said. The countries involved in the airdrops, cannot enter the aid through the crossing, but they drop them over us and kill our children. A kid was killed in Azawada and here and there, and nobody feels us. God is sufficient for us against them and their aid, he said. The latest death comes after the United Nations repeatedly warned that the airdrops are dangerous, inefficient, and costly, and it called on Israel to allow a steady supply of humanitarian assistance into Gaza via land crossings instead. The Gaza government media office said at least 23 Palestinians have been killed and another 124 wounded in airdrops of aid since Israel's war on the enclave began in October of 2023. So, I mean, obviously, it's a very grim and sad statistic just on this aspect of the conflict alone in terms of just airdropping aid. And, obviously, we have the looming threat of the full occupation of Gaza by Israel. We'll see how that, evolves throughout the week, the coming week. But, I'll keep you posted. Because this was a sad story that I wanted to include. Also, while I'm on Al Jazeera, actually going to another Al Jazeera story. A journalist and Anaz al-Sharif killed in an Israeli attack. I believe he was in a tent and he was killed. Now, I mean, I'm sure Israel's going to say something to the effect of that wasn't targeted, but you just, it's very hard to feel otherwise in all these situations. But let's go ahead and move on. This is a story about Sudan, once again from Al Jazeera. Sudan military destroyed UAE plane carrying Colombian mercenaries. Sudan's Air Force has destroyed a UAE aircraft carrying Colombian mercenaries as it was landing at an airport in Darfur, controlled by the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, or the RSF. Army Aligned State TV reported. The attack late on Wednesday killed at least 40 people, the state broadcaster reported. The airport has reportedly come under repeated airstrikes by the Sudanese army, which has been at war with the RSF since April of 2023. A military source speaking to the AFP news agency on the condition of anonymity said the Emirati plane was bombed and completely destroyed at Darfur's Nyala airport. There was no immediate comment from the RSF. AFP quoted an Emirati official denouncing what he considered false allegations that the Sudanese army had destroyed the plane. Colombia's president, Gustavo Petro, said his government was trying to find out how many Colombians died in the attack. We will see if we can bring their bodies back, he wrote on X. State TV said the aircraft had taken off from an airbase in the Gulf, carrying dozens of foreign fighters and military equipment intended for the RSF, which controls nearly all of Darfur. Now, this is something that the UAE denies doing. They, saying, no, we're not helping or supporting the RSF in any kind of way. These allegations are false. But to find out that, I guess at least allegedly, they're not just, supplying, weapons, munitions, other resources, but they are also providing mercenaries via Colombia to help aid in the fight. So that's definitely something that I think is keeping RSF in the conflict, keeping them strong in the conflict, despite the fact that the Sudanese army has made gains along the way. I know earlier in the year we've talked about Khartoum, just progress made there, but still Sudan in and of itself is fractured. RSF still has a strong, presence in other areas of Sudan, and, they're working to further solidify that. And on both sides, it's still, causing a lot of conflicts for the people just stuck in the middle, just trying to live their life. Let's see here. In terms of the Colombian mercenary part, that's a mystery. We don't really know how much details we're going to get out of that. Mercenaries in general are just a thing. They come with the conflict. You need extra bodies and you don't want your own people, to be involved. Well, if you have the money, you have the coin, then you're going to, get that, your number supplied by other countries or other nation states one way or another. So, I mean, obviously, though, this is something that Colombia doesn't want, doesn't support, but it's also hard for them to police and stop. So, it was an interesting development I heard throughout the week. I just didn't really get the time to wind up talking about it. So, here we are, yapping about it now. But yeah, I imagine any more news coming out of Darfur, we will be back to cover, and I try to do my best with that. Now, the rest of the story, or the rest of the episode, is just going to be a rundown of some stories I'm seeing on the Google News feed. Just kind of hit them real quick, just a couple of things. I guess before we do that, though, we'll go ahead and just close out and do our last break real quick and, finish as strong as we can. Strong and chill. I don't know. Okay. DC mayor defends capital crime rate after Trump threatens to take over police. That was from NPR. Also, just kind of just headline hopping from The Guardian. Trump orders homeless he passed en route to golf course to leave Washington, D.C. Like, bro is moving like a bloviated fucking king, dude. It's so wild to be like, ugh, this riffraff just in my way. We gotta do something about this. This is such a problem for our nation. Like, this dude's just posting truths just about, like, his vibes about poor people and how he doesn't like them. And he just wishes they would just disappear. Just get out of here. Get out of town. And it's like, oh, okay, so you're going to try to do something about it? Why don't you fucking try to help them? You're literally the president of the United States. It's like, nah, I'm just going to, talk about how the crime is so bad in D.C. and how someone's got to clean up this place. Okay, with what? Police action? Huh? Is that what it is? You're not going to give them homes. You're not going to help them. So, yeah, okay, great. Like, shut the fuck up. I wanted to close out with an update from the shooting in Atlanta. About the CDC shit. An update on the suspect. It was Patrick Joseph White. And he essentially felt like at least from what I'm gathering, that the COVID-19 vaccine made him like suicidal, made him want to kill himself. And he, I think, wanted to take that out on the CDC itself and, I guess enact some kind of revenge, make some kind of message. Now, I don't have any kind of manifesto at hand, really him saying exactly how he felt, but definitely it seems that he was not mentally well. And he blamed that on the fact that he got the vaccine. And it's like, I wonder where he got that notion from. It's because it was something that was pumped in terms of massive amounts of information, just people kicking that shit around and around and around. And, of course you want to pick that shit up because it answers your problem. Oh, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? Da, da, da. And it's like, well, some fucking kook, some fucking conspiracy ass fucking dumbass, put this out in the air. Now you can say, well, that's my thing. I'm glad I Googled this. I'm glad I figured it out. And then next thing you know, you equip yourself and you try to go and do something about it. Obviously this is very wrong. That's not the way to fucking do it. And you didn't solve anything. And you killed a police officer and then died. Which, I mean, maybe that was something that they were trying to do. I don't know. But, you definitely have, something I keep trying to reiterate is, yes, mental health, we have a crisis. We have, a problem, not just in America, but, throughout the world. But individually, we have to do our best that we can to take the responsibility and really try to take the reins. Let's see here. But yeah, I don't, at least not from this article. Maybe I can pan back and see about the police officer. I know there's more details, and I should have that stuff more readily available, but I don't. I also don't know why the police officer was there, but yeah, I know he is left by, I believe, a family, a wife and child, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I know I don't say this all the time, but condolences. Obviously, it's fucked up. It's sad. But yeah, that's really all we have for today. It's Sunday, so I don't like to shill. We're just gonna, just kind of peace out, nice and casual like. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye bye. Mwah.